You are listening to the Marketing Equation Podcast with Martin Shervington.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the Marketing Equation. I am Martin Shervington, joined today by, wait for it, drumroll, Neil Patel. Neil and I met at, you like that? Neil smiled. We met at a Trustpilot event recently, but I've been following you for ages, and you produce, quite simply, I won't say the best content, but you put so much effort into what you do. But it's not just content. You've got a big consultancy. You've been doing this for a long time, and you're very, very well respected. So I appreciate your time. I know everybody's going to be excited for me to shut up and to listen to you. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. So, what's going on in marketing for you these days? Where's things at? Where's your attention?
My attention right now is on global expansion. The landscape internationally is not as competitive. There's 200 plus million people roughly in Brazil, 190 something million in the world speak Portuguese, but again, not competitive. Spanish market, over 400 million people who speak Spanish. A lot of businesses don't target them. They don't think there's that much money there. And sure, there's not as much money as the US, but you know what? The populations are so large, there's still enough money to make the economics work out well.
So what are you looking at? Are you looking at from an SEO point of view, from an AdWords point of view, content, all of the above?
I look at it as for search, content, social media. I also am looking at GDP and populations, right, when I start expanding and picking which countries to go after.
And are you looking at this for yourself or for clients?
For myself. I don't do much client work these days.
No. And is the intent that you... Yeah, so what does this mean? What are you marketing then, if you're not looking for the client work?
Just to get more people to read my blog. So right now I'm translating all of Neil Patel into Portuguese, which I've been doing since November. There's over 100 blog posts in Portuguese. I start in Germany May 1st, so you'll start seeing all the blog posts in German starting in May. And then I want to get into the Spanish market sometime in Q3 or Q4.
Yeah.
And I'm getting into all the Arabic countries within the next month or two.
So how do you go about it? So do you have to replicate the content in the other language, and then you have a new URL that's written for that language?
That's correct, which is very tough and time-consuming, right?
Yeah.
It's not always as easy as just translating it, changing the URL, and you get traffic. If you don't have links from sites from the local regions, you don't do well. If you don't use the right keywords, for example, in Brazil market, my buddy has a site there. His blog has double the backlinks as mine, just from the Brazilian market, but in total I'm much higher authority, right, my site at least. And I'm getting 300 visitors a day. He's getting 200 to 300 visitors a day. He's getting over 1,000. And the numbers aren't matching up. My content's better, it's longer. But you know what? The translators translated the content. They didn't transcribe it. They didn't mold it in for the local audience. So the keywords that we use in America aren't relevant as much in Brazil.
Interesting. So have you got somebody on the ground doing it, or a native speaker?
I do. I have people on the ground. And we're fixing all these things.
Yeah.
The next 30 days, it should have all the proper keywords and stuff in there. But I have a ton of people on the ground there in Brazil. I have 2 guys who manage the operation. There's 3 or 4 translators. There's a guy who reaches out to all the marketing blogs and builds links. There's a team of 3 who just get me PR from all the local Brazil newspapers and magazines, etc. And then we're about to add in another team to manage all my guest posting. I guest post a lot on sites like Inc., Entrepreneur in the US. Brazil has similar type of sites, but I need someone to manage the process, translating the content, getting it out there on the sites, etc., right? Making sure it's getting read, promoting it to social media. We also have someone else who's just doing outreach, in which they're trying to find all the marketing bloggers with big email lists and pay them to blast out to their list, so that way we can grow our list. And then we're also starting a Facebook advertising campaign, so that way we can grow our audience in Brazil.
World domination, starting with Brazil.
That's correct.
So is this about personal brand building then for you? Is it speaking gigs that you get in? And
the amount of money I'm spending, the speaking gigs won't pay for it.
No.
But the beautiful part is if I can keep this up, I eventually think I can be a really large brand in digital marketing and maybe one day the biggest. And if I do that, I believe there will be a few clientele or people who will just be like, we want to work with you, and they'll throw whatever obscene amount of money at me just because I have the biggest brand in digital marketing. And that's my goal.
I like that. I mean, you've got a big brand already, Neil. I mean, but now it's the global is what you're really looking at.
In the US, I pretty much dominate most people, right? My brand's probably one of the largest, or at least I'm in the top 3.
Yeah.
For personal brands. Internationally, I still have some work. But my goal is to just dominate international because there's not anyone really doing competition. And
it's at an earlier stage as well, isn't it? Is that they don't understand everything that people are so used to now.
And they're also not willing to spend the money. In Brazil, I'm already dumping $100,000 US dollars. That's like, what, 350,000 reais in their currency?
Yeah.
They're in recession. No one even spends 20,000, 30,000 American dollars.
Yeah.
So they think I'm a crazy American. They're like, this crazy American's just going and spending all this money. And I think there'll be a long-term ROI. And you know what? Probably in total, I'll be in at 200,000-300,000 American dollars by the time I'm said and done with before I conquer Brazil. But you know what? That's worth it to be the biggest marketing brand in Brazil, at least for the internet.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, one of the things that I've realised, I think tell me if I got the number wrong. When you do one of your infographics, which are seriously authoritative, you put a heck of a lot of effort in, but you spend like 25, 30 grand on it. Is that right? Something?
No, that's my guides. The very
guides.
Guides that like 30,000 words.
Right.
Those will be like 20, 30, 40,000 dollars.
So the thing is that's what people don't understand is that you are investing a lot, really, on producing something that's huge, and that does get shares because it is the most authoritative piece of content. That's kind of a benchmark for people to understand. Firstly, the amount of effort you put in terms of the content, and I don't think people necessarily understand. Oh, that was you hitting the floor. I'm outside, you see, Neil. I got too excited. That was the microphone. I don't think people necessarily understand that. It's not accidental that you've got to where you've got to. You've had a plan. You've invested the money. It's exactly what you're saying with Brazil. It's like you've got to spend. It doesn't just happen because you're good. You are also doing the outreach and you've got the plan. I'm saying the same thing, but it is to enter now and to compete against some of the stuff that you're going for instance, is going to be difficult for people.
It is. One, I can spend more money, which sucks, and two, I'm also early on.
Yeah. You got that.
So it makes it really hard. And the way I look at it is one of my most popular blogs, the Kissmetrics blog, gets over 1 million visitors a month, has 386,000 visitors a month just from the US. US is a competitive market. You know what that means? If I can get 300,000-400,000 visitors a month just for the Brazil market, that's huge. That's a lot of traffic.
Yeah. Are you buying?
With that blog, I'm nowhere near number 1 in the US.
So you're still pushing it for the US?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a long way to go in the US.
What are you eating? It looks like rice. It's lunchtime with you, isn't it? Oh, no, it's not. It's not. It's breakfast time. We're on the same time zone.
Yeah, we're still in the same time zone. I call her Mama. She's my housekeeper. She made me egg whites and I don't know what's in there, some vegetables, but it's not too bad.
It's nice. Good. So, okay, let's talk email for a second. You're building your lists. You still continue to think that. Do you think, working? In terms of, and not just for you, but for general, do you think email's where people need to be paying attention? That gets the guaranteed open rates?
It does. I think it works really well.
Yeah? And what do you think is reasonable? 15-20% open rate? Is that what people should be shooting for? Or
getting 20%, you're doing fine. If you're getting anything under 10%, you're doing really poorly.
Yeah.
When your email list is new, you should be at 30-40% open rates.
Yeah? Interesting. Okay, what about social? Where are you at the minute?
Social is just who can build the biggest channel the quickest. I would just go spend a ton of money. Like, I'm trying to ramp up Facebook advertising for my personal fan page, and I'm trying to get 200,000-300,000 fans just in Brazil. Why not?
Yeah. And you're doing spend on that, as opposed to anything organic?
Yeah, I just spend. At this point, it's so hard to build it up organically. I'm not saying it's impossible, but these channels are saturated, right? Facebook, you're not early on anymore. You want to compete, you really have to spend money. If you don't spend money, you're not going to do well on Facebook anymore, unless you have viral content.
Yeah.
Content like in MySpace, the B2B world, it's not that sexy.
No. What about AdWords? where you are?
AdWords works well. I do a ton of AdWords as well. I do a ton of YouTube ads too.
Yeah. What about your videos? Are you doing videos yourself?
I don't do many videos.
You're good on video. You could do more video.
I should do video. I know. I want to create a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I just haven't had the time. I'm like, all right, let me figure out the international expansion. Once I figure out the international expansion, then from there, let me go figure out YouTube.
Where is the line between your personal brand and the project? Well, the businesses like Kissmetrics. How do you sort of manage that?
I don't. Just however they mingle, or whatever it may be. I don't even care. It's too hard to. It's too hard to try to separate.
Yeah. Because you're the attractor, I guess, for all the conversations for those, and I say about the speaking gigs because that's how we happen to meet, but the consultancy and things like that. How do you deal with people wanting you when you've got your team?
I don't have really a big team. We don't do much consulting, and I don't accept too many projects, if any.
So that's a nice. So really, it is brand. You're building brand. You're. Yes. What are you looking for then? That's the piece. So what are you marketing to get?
I'm looking for the big contracts. The people are saying, Neil, we want to work with you so bad. Here's 10, 20 million bucks.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
So, I don't get one of those every month.
No. But what does that look like then? So that's a major. That's what we say, Footsie 100. What sort of projects are they going to be working on?
Anything. We go in there and we just solve any marketing related. Usually, any company that can pay us that is worth over $1 billion.
Yeah. That's interesting. I hadn't realised that was the game. That was where you're going, which is why you've got to say no to a lot of other stuff, I guess.
Yes, and it also makes sense of why I spend so much on branding, right?
Yeah.
Because the brand is what helps you command the price point.
Interesting. All right, so let's give tips for people that are getting started.
All right.
Blogging, videos.
What do you want? I'll start with a blog if you're just getting started. Because you know what? The blog, it's much easier to do a blog than it is to do videos. If it's easier for you to do videos, by all means do videos. But
yeah,
it's a lot more work because you have to edit the videos and there's production that goes into it.
Yeah. So you still think blogging's a good way? Is that how you got started, Neil? Is that?
It is how I got started. I think blogging is great. And the reason it's great is you can schedule content in advance. Google likes ranking a lot of text. And you know what? If you're not dressed and you don't have a video camera and you're traveling, you can still blog.
Yeah. So, blog, what about niche? We're talking about you dominating digital marketing. Really? Is that where you're at? SEO? How do you choose your niche?
Digital marketing, but the way I pick a niche is using Google Trends.
Yeah.
You can type keywords and you can see how big, roughly the market is.
Yeah.
And that'll help you determine what you should be going after.
What about keywords for you then? What are you still? I'm talking in terms of research. Do you go to Google Keyword Tool and go, how many people are searching this month?
Yeah, I go to Google Keyword Planner. I use Google Trends to type keywords to figure out if a keyword is trending up, down.
So you were around in the early Overture. I used to have that little thing sat on my desktop.
Yeah.
I'd be there all day long, going look, see the mind of the internet, look.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Okay, now we're in the planner, but it's still the same principle, which is you've got to understand what people are searching for, or at least get some idea.
That's correct.
Good. Okay. What should we go for? Let's talk a little bit about Google. What do you think's relevant for people to know with all of the changes, mobile and stuff like that? What are you paying attention to?
Sure. I think the big changes that are coming up with mobile and everything like that is how do you monetize on these smaller devices? So yes, it's easy to sell e-commerce type of products, but these devices have a smaller screen size. With the new things that are coming out like Google AMP, it's streamlining the page and making it faster to load, which makes it harder to monetize. So how do you generate revenue yet provide the user experience that mobile users want?
What are you doing?
I have no idea yet. I'm just I haven't figured out the exact solution. It's really difficult on mobile.
What's your background? But in terms of testing, you're about facts and about evidence and about testing. Where did that come from your studies?
I started 2 analytics companies. And when you have a business partner and you have really awesome team members who are smart, you have different opinions. So we started learning that, hey, you know what? Opinions don't really matter. We should do what the data shows.
Yeah.
Assuming everything you're doing is ethical and it still aligns with your company values, you should align yourself with the data. And that's how we got started with testing and just being, okay, we should focus on A/B testing, split testing, going with the numbers.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about BuzzSumo, because I know you did something with Steve Rayson, which was for Facebook data, I think.
That's right. I don't remember all the data, but yeah, we did interesting posts.
So there's 1 billion posts that were analysed. I mean, how do you think for the littler guy, how do they kind of create those stories? Because obviously you're a known name and you teamed up with Steve from BuzzSumo. You know, do you think that sort of story, you know, how can people go about recreating some of your success in that way?
Well, once you build up a brand, that stuff just happens naturally where people want to partner with you. But at the beginning, what you need to do is, what you need to do is when you're doing all the BuzzSumo stuff or when you're building up your brand, you need to figure out how you can go out there and link to people, talk about them, promote them when it's relevant for your audience. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it, but when you really do believe that it's a good fit. Because eventually these people will see it and then they'll want to work with you. For example, I plug Alexa.com a lot. It's not because they pay me money or anything. I don't get paid $1 from them. I just think it's a good tool. And Alexa was just like, hey, maybe we should partner up on doing something. So now we're going to try to do a deal together. But it just came down to me plugging them away for years. I didn't try to do anything specific. It just happened to be that way.
So it's relationship building via storytelling, really, and connecting with people. I mean, I agree. And it's also not trying to go for the juggler. You know what I mean? It is sustained over time. And you've got to like the product. You've got to like the thing, as you say. So it's got to be real.
Yep.
Good. Okay, last bit, Neil. Reviews. Seeing as that's where we began. Where do you think companies need to pay attention? What sites in particular? Anything you see happening?
So you're saying where do companies need to be paying attention?
Yeah, in your view. I mean, I think Google are really building that ecosystem with the local guides, and so I always plug in that. So I'm leaving that one aside.
You're saying specifically for reviews or in general?
Yeah, reviews as a general thing. Where do you think people need to be looking?
The big thing right now with reviews, the thing I see companies ignoring is they're just trying to get positive reviews, but they're not trying to fix anything that's negative.
Yeah.
And if you don't take action, not necessarily try to change someone's viewpoint, but figure out why they left a negative review and how you can adjust your product or service to make it better.
Yeah.
In the long run, you won't survive. Because someone else will come out there, create a better product or service, care more about the customers, and then take your business.
So it's part of the customer feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, change your business based upon it. Don't just be chasing the stars.
Yeah, and don't just be chasing revenue as well. A lot of people think just because your revenue is going up, it's great. Well, if you keep getting negative reviews, eventually there's going to be a downfall. The question is just when.
Perfect. Neil, where can everyone find you, just in case they don't know where you are?
NeilPatel.com.
There you go. Super simple. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Equation Podcast, brought to you by PlusYourBusiness.com and Effective.fm.